It was a cool spring quarantine evening when, all across the land, people were looking for something to do, and in the darkness shone a light. A very interesting and very potentially controversial light with nothing more but a name. Hello again, everybody. My name is Mars. Welcome back to another episode of Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. Today we are going to be talking about the Neo Visions teaser video. Yeah, there's a few details within this video that I think a lot of people missed, and we're going to talk about some of the theories about it and some of the details and a couple of tinfoil hat theories to throw out there, because some people are worried, some people are excited, some people are anxious, and a lot of people are a lot of those feelings. So let's dive right into theory number one. For theory number one, when people saw this crystal, the first thing that a lot of people said is, oh, I bet this summon crystal is going to be a 7-star unit that you can just summon as it is, and you don't have to pull a dupe. It just comes as a 7-star. But you can still get the 5-star base and, level it up to a 7-star or whatever, but this is just an addition to, the system we've already got. Now, I don't necessarily think that that's a bad theory, but I do think it's incorrect. I don't think that they're going to release, pre-7-star units. I honestly think that that's not what this is. And the reason for that is because nobody would actually give a damn. So what? We have so many sources of prisms and so many sources of UOCs and all these other things that we can use to get ourselves a 7-star. So why on earth would anybody care if a crystal just comes down red and crackling and it's the the pre-made 7-star? Honestly, I would not give a crap about that, and I think most people would not give a crap about it either, which is why I think it's not a big enough deal for them to make this over, okay? I think it's not this. Now, the second theory that I see a lot of, and there is a lot of potential for this one to be true, is that the Neo Vision crystals are going to be a new type of gacha, like vision cards in War of the Visions, or, weapon gachas, or something like that. And if you're not familiar with War of the Visions, the way that the vision card gacha works is that whenever you do a summon, your summons can be either units or vision cards. Obviously, if you summon a unit, you get that unit or shards to awaken that unit. Or if you get a vision card, you get a card that you can equip to that character. And if it's an Esper card, you also unlock that Esper to be used in battle. So some people are suggesting that this crystal may be a new type of gacha that's like a vision card or something like that gives you access to new equipables or new Espers or something like that. And I also don't really think that this is the correct theory. I also hope it's not, because it sounds like just an extra layer of BS that Gumi would throw out there to try and make more money, because they gotta add another gacha and everybody's falling on tough times and this is just their solution to make more money. I really, really don't think that this theory is correct. And another minor lore reason why this might be the case is because when you summon in War of the Visions, you get cards that actually come down. It's like a card-shaped crystal that breaks into a vision card, but this looks like a unit crystal from Brave Exvius. So they could lure their way around it if they really wanted to invalidate it, but that's just one of the reasons why I don't really see this happening as a new type of gacha. A lot of people have suggested it, but I don't think that's the case. What I think this is, and a lot of people may not be super excited to hear, is that this is basically our 8-star reckoning. Finally getting a new bump in power, a new tier of units or unit awakening or whatever. And this is the theory that I think is correct. Now, a lot of people have said, have reminded me, and I've remembered myself, that Gumi at some point said that they will never release 8-star units. And I think that this is their way to kind of get around it. I think that the Neo Vision cards will not be rooted in any characters that we currently own. I think they're going to be their own unique base rarity characters that you can only get through the Neo Vision summons. You don't awaken 6 or 7-star units to get them. You have to summon the Neo Vision to get this character. And it's effectively an 8-star unit, but it's not an 8-star awakening because you're not taking pre-existing characters and bumping them up to 8 stars, kind of like, how we ended up in our 7-star meta. So I think this theory is probably the most plausible one. And honestly, I think this is going to be an interesting take for the game. I honestly think it would be a good thing if they went down this route. I could see 8-star units coming with a whole bunch of interesting or new features or additions that just make them more interesting or more appealing to pull for. For example, 8-star units, and I'm going to call them 8-star units. I know they're called Neovisions. I'm just calling them 8 stars because that's how my brain works. They could come in a new base rarity. So as you see, the red crystal comes down and it looks totally different from any of the other crystals we have. So it could be a red base unit, and it starts with like a maximum level of 120, and you can awaken it to maximum level 150 or something like that. Or it could work on a totally different system altogether. Maybe you have to awaken it like 3 times. You have to awaken a character 3 times, and it only has 30 levels, but each level is, harder to get than the ones for level 1 to 120, if that makes sense. There's a whole array of things that they could do. I think one of the things that they're going to do with this system is they're not going to require duplicates for awakening. They may require kind of a shard system, the way that other gachas or other mobile games, kind of like War of the Visions does, where you may need to acquire shards or resources of that unit in order to awaken it to enable its maximum power, but I do not think that duplicates will be required to use that system. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with War of the Visions, War of the Visions has a shard system to awaken characters. Characters can be very, very strong long before you get their maximum awakening with shards. So if they balanced it similarly to how they have it in War of the Visions, I could see a shard system working where, you do a daily dungeon, or, you summon dupes, or you summon resources or whatever that gives you the shards that you need to awaken, one of these new 8-star characters. I could see it working if the balancing was right for it. And that's the whole key to whatever this is that Gumi's doing. They just got to get the execution right. In addition to that, we might see some new stat percentage caps, because as you know in the game right now, you can get a maximum of 400% in any of your given main stats, as well as 200% true dual wield for any given stat, and 300% true double hand for any given stat. So they may decide to tweak the level caps to accommodate for higher passives or adjustments to damage calculations or anything like that. They may tweak some of these things. In addition to that, I could see these 8-star units coming with a brand new TMR system. I don't see them having TMRs like we've traditionally had because they're farmable, they're super easy to get, they're inconsequential. If you're going to release a new, very rare 8-star unit, you're probably going to make their trust item much harder to obtain through a different system altogether. We'll see what that looks like. It could just be TMRs as we know it, but if there was an opportunity for them to innovate on the TMR system, this would be a good opportunity to do so. Now, this change to add 8-star characters, this has to come with some changes to the way that the pool of units currently is. So this is me in my imagination brain thinking of how they could do this in a way that would welcome 8-star units. Now, if you look right here, we have our current banner, these aren't banner rates, these are current summon rates for the different rarities that we have in the game right now. We have 5-star units coming in at a 5% rate, so 1 in 20 of your units are 5-star units. We have a 19% draw rate for 4-star base units, and we have a 76% draw rate for 3-star units. If they kept this current draw rate the way that it is and released 8-star units on top of it, frankly, I'd be really upset, because I think you may agree with me that pulling anything but rainbows is trash, and pulling rainbows is still mostly trash. I have not pulled for a 3-star unit since like 2018. It just hasn't happened. There aren't TMRs that are worthwhile from 3-star units. 4-star units, most of them don't have any worthwhile TMRs either. And yeah, the units themselves, total garbage, can't use them anymore. Even among the 5-star base units, many of them have useful STMRs, but damn, you have to summon an awful lot of 5-star base units to even get some of those STMRs, and dude, if I get another ace, I might just throw myself out of a window, because there are so many trash and troll rainbow units out there that even when you are summoning rainbows, it's not even satisfying. So I think what they're going to try to get back to is something a little bit like this. Now, this is something that I could see them doing to change the rates so that it feels a little bit more like how Brave Exvius did closer to release, without completely destroying, the progress that the game has made so far. What I think would be a smart move for them to do, and they may do this is my personal bet, that they'll do something along these lines. They may not, and again, this is speculation land, so, fair warning, this is all speculation, but I could see them totally adjusting the way that the pool is right now, and basically just bumping everything down a tier in terms of pull rates. So instead of 3-star units being the bulk of the units you summon, all of those sons of biatches would just go straight into the friend summon pool. Because right now, the friend pool is full of trash. Stuff you would never use. No TMRs that are useful. Nothing. Even for new players. You get no benefit out of the friend pool, but moving all of the 3-star base characters into the friend pool would allow new players to start getting some of those TMRs and start getting some of those things that can help them early on. And that's where that belongs. Like, if you're a longtime player, you really just hate seeing blue crystals. They give you no value. If you've been playing for any amount of time at all and you have some decent equips, even 4-star or 5-star base character equips, you don't care about 3-star units, period. So this is a good way to get them out of the way and still allow them to provide value to those who need it. Now, I could see them adjusting the rates for 4-star and 5-star base characters to accommodate for the new, 6 or 7 or 8 or, the new 8-star characters, whatever they're going to be, the new Neo Visions. Now, they could bump the 4-star base character pull rate to 80% and the rainbow rate to 19%, and then the Neo Visions could be a 1% pull rate. And I think this would totally work because we will likely have a transitory phase when these new Neo Visions come out, that, where 7-star units are still going to be the bulk of your party. You're still going to be mostly using 7-star units for the next, 6 to 9 months. And even after 9 months, you may not be using all, Neo Vision units. It may be a combination for long after that. So this sort of pull rate would allow people to really get into the STMR game, really get into, 4-star base TMRs. There's nothing wrong with getting more of those, especially, because a lot of them are not the best either. And the thing that this would do is it would really make the Neo Vision units extra special. Whereas right now, Rainbows, which is the current highest rarity, are not special at all because most of the time they're trash, most of the time they don't help you. But could you imagine if we went back to a time where, pulling something rare actually benefited you and was actually unique? And that's what I think they might go for with this. Again, this is all speculation. If indeed these new red crystals are, the new 8-star units and they're added to the summon pools, I could see it going off something like this. Now, I think they could get away with doing this because of the way that the current pool sizes are. I did a really rough estimation of the number of units of each rarity that we currently have in the game in Global. And many people are surprised to find out that we have far more 5-star based characters than we do any other type of character. In the global version of the game, we have close to 250 7-star units. And this is 7-star units. This is not counting 5-star base units that never got a 7-star. This is strictly 7-star units. We have close to 250 of them, which is huge. That's a huge amount of units. And then among 4-star units and 3-star units, we have fewer of them. We have roughly a third less, okay? So we have 180-ish 4-star base units and 170-ish 3-star base units. And they can go ahead and throw 170 units into the friend pool, no problem. They can throw 180 units as, your new 3-star base characters. There's so many of them that it's not really a big deal to increase those rates, especially when you have a shiny new toy sitting at the top at a 1% rate or whatever with the new 8-star unit. This is the direction I think they're going to go in. Now, if you want to talk about crazy tinfoil hat theories, I've got some for you, okay? Now, let's look at this screenshot from their website. There's something that really stuck out to me when I saw this, and it's that this announcement has no Japanese on it at all. The thing that stuck out to me is that I can read this, okay? When's the last time you saw a Japanese news announcement that was actually done in English? That's not something that happens. It's not something they do. If you want something for reference, you can look at the 7-star Awakening announcement. I think this was the first slide we ever saw about 7-star Awakenings, and it was Lightning going to 7-star Lightning, and the entire thing, top to bottom, was in Japanese. But if you look at the announcement on their website, there's not a lick of Japanese on it at all, which to me could be a hint that we're going to receive this Neo Vision thing in global at the same time or close to the same time that the Japanese version of the game receives it. Now, I know this may be a little bit of a stretch, but there are a few other indicators that kind of suggest that this could be the case. So first of all, if you look at Twitter, okay, I'm looking at the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius Japanese Twitter. The entire post is also in English. And what's crazy about that isn't the fact that it's in English, it's that this is their only post that is entirely in English. There's not a word that's in Japanese at all. At all. There's no Japanese whatsoever in this tweet other than, you know, the name of the profile. And that's weird. They don't do that on their Twitter profile. What's more, Shally, who's, you know, the closest thing that we got to a community manager for Brave Exvius Global Edition, she works on the localization team. She doesn't, to my understanding, she doesn't work directly on the Japanese version, but mostly spends her time on the global version and helps with, you know, her team that translates the game and gets it ready for the global release. She retweeted this tweet that was entirely in English, and Shally has almost, as far back as I could scroll, I scrolled all the way back to like early 2019, right? I've never seen Shally retweet anything from the Japanese side of the game. She just hasn't done it. Even if it's like units and stuff she's been excited about in global, she's never like hyped them in advance. She's never retweeted them. She just doesn't retweet stuff from the Japanese version of the game. So the fact that this is an English tweet on a Japanese profile retweeted by somebody who never retweets, you know, from the Japanese version of the game, she barely even retweets from, you know, from the English or the global version of the Twitter profile. So to me, this all just looks a little bit odd. It looks a little bit strange. And then you can add to it some of the other trends that we're seeing. We're seeing some of the 7-star unit releases kind of being accelerated for global version. You'll notice that we got War of the Visions Gilgamesh much sooner than anticipated. I think he came to us maybe 4 months earlier than we would have anticipated. And the new Esper units came to us earlier than anticipated. They showed up for the 4-year anniversary for JP, and we have received them probably about 3 months early as well. And the reason I think they're doing this is because as soon as this news drops about the new Neo Vision summons, nobody's gonna pull for those units. Like, and that's the big thing. If I'm putting my business hat on and I'm thinking from Gumi's shoes, I'm thinking, boy, the minute we announce this for Japanese, all of our global revenue stops. All of our global revenue stops. So how do you prevent that from happening? You release it in both at the same time. And how do you prepare for that? You ramp people up. You sell all your Omniprism bundles now, because once this news goes out, nobody's going to buy them. You release all of your hyped future units now, because after this news comes out, nobody's going to buy them. So that's what they're like, all right, drop Gilgamesh, drop our new, you know, the Esper units, drop all that stuff, because global's not going to buy it once they see this news. Now, that, again, I have to restate, this is all speculation. We don't know anything yet. We will know for sure when they make an announcement, but this is just what I'm thinking about, okay? This is my number one theory, is that they are releasing a new, basically 8-star system. They are releasing, you know, these new characters. And my theory is that they're going to release it in global around the same time that they do for JP. And it's going to do another thing that Gumi wants, which is it's going to remove our power of foresight as global players. As global players, we've always had the ability to look at the JP version of the game and measure global's progress against it and say, like, well, we're being slighted, or, well, you know, there's no reason for me to pull for this because I know that this thing is coming down the line. If Gumi does this, they give themselves the advantage of taking that away from us, which is something they want. And you know what? Honestly, I don't care if they get rid of that advantage, because then I'll stop bitching about all these different units. So in short, Gumi really has a lot to gain if they execute this properly. This could actually be something that I'm very excited about, because I want to go back to when I was excited about new units. I'm not anymore. I'm not. There's so many 7-star units, so many rainbows, just so much going on all the time. It's just not fun. It's not what it used to be. And this could be the return to, you know, kind of Final Fantasy Brave Exvius as it was, as long as it kind of sticks to, you know, what my prediction is. And I could be totally wrong, but this is what I'm putting my money on. You let me know down in the comments below what you think this whole Neo Vision thing means, and I'll see everybody in the next video.